Hello everybody, this is Vaughn Leon of Hair Hero Elite, and I wanted to go ahead and tell you the answer to the question that I asked last week. We were like, what's the difference between a press, a blowout, and a silk press? And look, we're going to add some other content. I was just reviewing before I came on and realized this is so much deeper, but let's get started here. Okay, generally, we're talking about a press. We're going to start off with a press. Now, a normal press, a shampoo and press, is done with a hot comb. Okay? That's all. It kind of seals the cuticle. It straightens the texture out. Normally, a lot of people back in the day, we would use grease, and sometimes repeated presses will cause one type of alopecia called hot comb alopecia. It's a real name, believe it or not. And it was simply generally gained because the hot grease would run down the shaft after being heated and burn the orifices of the dermal papilla. The orifices of the mouth of the lip of the follicle, the opening of the follicle. And repeated burns start to cause some alopecia. So that's just an extra little point. But now people are using some oils or silicones and they're pressing, and they press that cuticle down, or they seal the cuticle a little bit and straighten that hair out. That's a press. And then if you needed more, the cuticle sealed a little more, quote unquote, you would use a curling iron after that, okay? Back in the day. So that's just, we're gonna generalize it because, different variations, but let's try to get a general concept of silk press, blowout, and silk press. Now, a blowout is to stretch out the texture of the hair without sealing the cuticle. The difference. You stretch it out. If you have an afro, you blow it out just so it goes from here, compact, tight, to here. Okay? And just stretch it out a little bit, and that is considered a blowout, a true blowout. If you are flat ironing your blowout, you went past a blowout into doing a silk press. Okay, now we just eased into what is a silk press. Silk press comes after a blowout, or you blow out, you straighten that texture or stretch out the texture of the hair, then you seal it with a flat iron. Now, a general press is not done with a flat iron, it's done with a comb. But once you use the flat iron, you're silking that cuticle close at its best, the best way to do it. And it smooths, or it's called silkening or silking, because the hair cuticle has been truly flattened and silked out, okay? So that is when you get into your silk pressing. Some of them relate silk pressing to also wrapping the hair. That's a procedure that you can do, and that is a form of silk pressing, but the flat ironing and smoothing the cuticle down is really the silking. So a true blowout is just blowing and stretching the cuticle and go. Then once you flat iron it, whether you set it under a dryer or not, you're silking that shaft, okay? You can even do that with a ball bristle brush, which is a round brush, and a blow dryer. So a lot of times I will do a double blow dryer, which I will do a blowout and do a blowout silking. And I would silk the cuticle out straight to where it's just like a flat ironing, because the heat and the dryer are compressing the cuticle the hair shaft, and silking to where it looks like it's already relaxed. Then I will come in and finish silking with a flat iron, which displaces the moisture just enough. That's why I do a lot of hydration and moisture techniques, conditioning treatments before I ever do the silking, because I'm going to displace it and it holds that shape a little longer when you silk it. If you just blow it and you don't flatten and silk that cuticle, then you're going to get reversion faster. So that's the difference between the three. Pressing, done with a pressing comb. Blowout is done by stretching the texture of the hair. And silking is when you flat iron and you silk that shaft straight. Okay, that's the difference. Now, the question comes up: when do you keep doing a blowout and silk press versus doing a smooth a smoothing system or a keratin system? The question is, how often are you doing it? If you're doing blowouts every week, you might as well switch to a smoothing system because it's a little bit easier on the hair. You're not adding that same high heat every time. And so you want to protect that hair shaft as much as possible because you can go into thermal damage because you're doing too much. And if you're using a titanium iron, it's made to keep a high heat, and that's not beneficial for hair that is dry in texture. Now, if you have European hair or Spanish hair that's oily, that works perfect for you. But if you have dry hair, you can dehydrate that shaft too much and you lose your curl pattern. Not saying you can't do it with a ceramic iron, but it's a little bit more difficult. So you want to be a little careful right there. And when you're doing a smoothing system, you definitely don't want to use a titanium iron. It makes it so much easier, but that pattern may not come back because you've done too much. Ceramic iron seals moisture in. Titanium, because of the high heat maintained, it evaporates it, and it's not made for 3C, 4ABC hair. There's a difference, okay? Learn the difference, okay? Now, we also want to let you know, now keratin and then smoothing system, we'll talk about that on our next one. So that'll be part 2 of pressing, blowout, and silk press. Part 2 is keratin versus smoothing system. What's the difference? Stay tuned in. Hey, I love this. Give me more questions, things that you want to know the breakdown of, and I will respond. Check it out. Von Leon, Hair Hero Elite. Man, you got to smile and be unique on your feet. Deuces. Hey, let me not forget, if you're doing a roller breast technique, that is another form of silking. You're right in between. It can be a form. So it's more of the blowout because you're just stretching that cuticle, but the bristles help stretch it. But because the close contact, it starts going into silking. So you're right on that cutting edge. So a lot of people I know do roller brush techniques, and they are fabulous and they're straight. So I would put it more toward the side of silking, silk pressing, because of the blow drying technique with the bristles, stretching, and smoothing with that blow dryer. Because that blow dryer can be magic if you know how to make it work. African, American, Indian, Asian, Caribbean, and so much more.